how cold is not enough.
Hey everybody, so I just made this little tripod thing for my camera so that I can start showing you guys what I'm working on. So I've gotten quite a lot further than the last time I videoed anything. So the front end I actually have on the ground and pretty much finished. So I got the lower control arms mounted, and I got the spindles on and the coilovers, and I got those mounted on the their strut mounts. I got the two parts of the frame welded together. There's going to be another cross piece right here. I got the steering in, the front sway bar in. As you can see, all of the steering works. I got the power steering box, or not box, but power steering rack taken apart. The seal's taken out of it so that I can run it as a manual steering rack. I have taken apart that Cadillac, and I have the transmission, the rear cross member from the car. I finished up one of the coilovers. I still need to do one more of the struts. So this is a 4T80E, and it's going to be attached to an LS4 with an 88mm turbo. So looking at about 800 horsepower and a lightweight mid-engine vehicle. Should be pretty crazy. So I mean, this is all the stock suspension. This is kind of what it looked like to start with. I have since, cleaned it all. For the front ones, I've cleaned it all up. I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can on the video. I got some Chinese drilled and slotted rotors because I had pretty good luck with them on my truck. So that's what I'm going to be running on here. And then I have these wheels. Just temporary. They're the ones off the Cadillac. I will be getting some nicer wheels for it, of course. So for my workspace, it's actually basically just a 2x4 frame with a tarp over it. On my back patio, you can see this part's wood and this part's kind of like a tile over here. Got the torque converter sitting on the ground over there. I got these gussets right here. I'm gonna weld in because it was it's kind of flimsy right here when I had it on. I'm gonna put those on and then round over these corners, kind of like I've done up here. Looks pretty good. So one of the issues with these cross members is they normally use a system like this, where it goes through all of these bushings. And obviously, I want to make my car as stiff as possible. So the solution I've come to is I take these little bottom pieces right here, and I actually weld them like this into the cross member, so that then I have a centered hole that I can attach the frame to. Here I'm just digging around getting some ideas for where I want to mount this steering wheel. It looks like I got the position for the bar that's going to go behind the dashboard pretty much perfect. Then I'll just need to make a mount for bolting the steering wheel to there, and then I'll weld that on. Then I started to work on the oil pan for the LS4. I went ahead and cut the sump off the bottom because it was going to have to be moved about 7 inches forward in order to make room for the starter. The LS4 is normally attached to the 4T60E or the 65E, and they have provisions for mounting the starter on the side of the bell housing. But on the 4T80E, the valve body is so much bigger, I couldn't even modify it to put the starter there because it gets in the way of mounting it. On the North Star, they put the starter in the valley since there's no camshaft there because they're overhead cam motors. But on the LS motors, they got the camshaft in the center. So pretty much the only place to mount it is on the bottom where the oil sump is usually at. What I'm doing here is just measuring the back of the crankshaft because the LS4 crankshaft is about 1/8 of an inch shorter than the standard LS crankshaft, so I wanted to know this before I build the mount for the starter. I then cut out the opening for the new placement of the sump. Then I drilled out some of the holes to try and match how it looked when I got it. So now there's 2 holes on both sides for the oil to go through. After that, I started to work on the piece that will cover up the old sump opening. I rounded over the edge to match the chamfer on the oil pan since I cut a little too deep on one side, just so I can overlap that piece and it won't leak there. I tried a few different methods. As you can see, I tried to put it in the vise at first, but that was kind of bending the whole piece instead of just the edge where I wanted it. So then I started trying to hammer on the edge of the table. This worked pretty good. Then, as you'll see, then I pull out a piece of round bar and I start hammering it over that contour, and that seemed to work the best. And as it got real close, I then just started using the actual contour of the oil pan to hammer over. Then I needed to set up the settings on my welder to make sure I can get good penetration without blowing holes through it. So I first set it up and just did a continuous bead, but I don't want to work the metal and I'm just only going to tack it together for now. So then I knocked it up another power level so that it'll penetrate real good for my tack welds. Just trying to get the two surfaces between here as close as possible so I don't have to be welding up any large holes or anything. Also took the time to deburr all the edges so that I'm not going to have a little sliver of metal in the oil pan getting soaked up by the oil sump or something and ruining the motor. That's pretty sweet. So I got the oil pan done. Pretty easy. I just cut this off and then cut out a little piece of 16 gauge steel. I got a little drop pretty cheap at the steel yard. Welded that up on there to cover that up. I think I might go to get a shop to TIG weld it, or I might just finish out MIG welding it. And then the starter I have is I think this is pretty much the same one that the other guy that has connected the 4T80E to the LS4. Pretty much the same one he used, except that it's not specific to the LS. Since I have to build something anyway, I might as well get something that's a little cheaper, because the one for the LS is like $200 something. This one was like 150. So that'll go right there, and it's clockable, so I'll probably clock it like that just to keep low profile, and then that'll go somewhere about right there. And yeah,